Hi, this is Stan Lyle with Master Math. During the lesson, you're going to come to some You Try It slides where you're asked to do problems that relate to the lesson. Hit your pause button, try the problem, and then hit the forward key to move on to the answer. I hope you have a really good time today. You're familiar with the Slope-Intercept Form. Well, today we're going to use Slope-Intercept Form in some creative ways to try to solve some problems that may come up. We're going to be resourceful. We're going to be clever. Being clever and resourceful usually means you take things that you already possess and find ways to use them to solve new problems. For instance, this guy used his Lego set to create a key holder. This person wanted to make their fence more decorative, so they put their marble collection in the holes in the fence. This person had to drill a hole in the wall and didn't want to make a mess, so they put a post-it underneath the hole. And this person had too many wrenches and not enough hooks, so they used their wrenches to satisfy their need for hooks. Well, today we're going to use the Slope-Intercept Form in some unique ways. And we're going to find out how to write equations given 2 points, how to write functions given 2 points, and how to write equations given the slope and 1 point. Well, here it is, the big kahuna, Slope-Intercept Form, y equals mx plus b, where m equals the slope and b equals the y-intercept. Well, let's use this equation to do something a little bit different. Let's say that we knew what 2 points on a line were, and we wanted to calculate what the equation for that line was. Could we do that? Well, we could if we could figure out what m was, and if we could figure out what b was. M. Well, that's slope. That's rise over run. But hopefully you remember that slope is also the change in y values divided by the change in x values as we move from one point to another point on the line. In this case, our y values are 7 and 4. So if we're starting at the top point and moving to the bottom point, our change in y values would be 7 minus 4. And our change in x values would be 2 minus 0. So our slope would be 7 minus 4 over 2 minus 0. Or 3 divided by 2, or 1.5. Well, now we know what m equals. M equals 1.5. So I can replace the m in the generic Slope-Intercept Form equation with a 1.5, and I've got y equals 1.5x plus b. But now we got to figure out what b is. B is the y-intercept. B is where the line crosses the y-axis. And we can see that it crosses the y-axis right about there. That's the y-intercept. And you should remember that at the y-intercept, the x value is going to be 0. So even if we hadn't graphed this equation, we could figure out what the y-intercept was if one of the points they gave us had an x value of 0. Because at the y-intercept, the x value is always 0. If I had a line that included a point 0, 13, then the y-intercept would have to be 13. Well, now in this case, the y-intercept is 4. So I can replace that b with a 4. And I know that the equation for this line is y equals 1.5x plus 4. Now you try this one. Hit the pause button, do the problem, and then hit the forward key to move on to the answer. if we know 2 points that are included in a line and we're asked to calculate the equation in slope-intercept form, then we need to calculate what the slope is, and we need to calculate what the y-intercept is. Well, the slope is easy. The slope is the change in our y values divided by the change in our x values. In this case, our y values changed from 4 to 1, and our x values changed from 3 to 0. So our slope is 4 minus 1 divided by 3 minus 0, or 3 divided by 3, or 1. Now how about b, the y-intercept? Well, they've told us that one of the points on this line has an x value of 0 and a y value of 1. And since we know that the y-intercept always has an x value of 0, then we know that 0, 1 is the y-intercept and 1 is b. So now we know m and we know b, and we can write the equation. Y equals 1x plus 1. Well, here's a little twist on what we've been doing. Let's say we listed 2 points in function form. Let's say that we knew that the function of 0 equaled 6 and the function of 3 equaled 15. Could we figure out what the equation for this line that included these points was? Well, we could if we remembered that the function of x equals y. So in the equation f of 0 equals 6, 0 is our x value and 6 is our y value. What that is saying is that when we put 0 into the function as x, the function spits out 6 as y. And that means that the point 0, 6 is on the line. Function of 3 equals 15 says that the function of an x value of 3 results in a y value of 15. Or the point 3, 15 is on the line. Well, now we got 2 points that are on the line, and we can calculate the slope and the y-intercept. The slope is the change in the y's divided by the change in the x's, or 15 minus 6 divided by 3 minus 0, or 9 divided by 3, or 3. So our slope is 3. How about our y-intercept? Well, one of the points that we know has an x value of 0, the point 0, 6. So we know that 6 is b, or our y-intercept. Well, now we know that m equals 3 and b equals 6, so the equation y equals mx plus b can be changed to be specific for these points, and y equals 3x plus 6. All right, don't get confused. Hopefully you remember that functions are not always noted with the letter f. Sometimes they're noted with other letters, like g. And in this case, we've got a function g, and we know that the function g of 3 equals 6, and the function g of 0 equals 4. Can you determine what the equation for this linear function is? Hit your pause button, try the problem, and then hit your forward key to move on to my answer. All right. We know that the function g of 3 equals 6. That means that the point 3, 6 is on the line. And we know that the function g of 0 equals 4. So 0, 4 is on the line. Now we just need to calculate the slope. The difference in our y's divided by the difference in our x's. y1 minus y2 divided by x1 minus x2. Or 6 minus 4 divided by 3 minus 0. Now if you went the other way, and I went from this point to this point, but if you start at this point and move to this point, and your 4's and your 6's and your 0's and your 3's were reversed, you're going to end up with exactly the same number that I end up with if you do your math correctly. because 6 minus 4 is 2, and 3 minus 0 is 3, and my slope is 2/3, or 2 over 3. Now how about B? What's the y-intercept? Well, we know that one of the points on the line has an x value of 0 and a y value of 4. So 4 is our y-intercept. Now we know the y-intercept and we know the slope, so we can write the equation. Y equals 2/3 x plus 4. Well, here's a new little twist and turn. Let's say that we knew what the slope of a line was and we knew a single point on that line. Could we calculate or determine what the equation of the line was? I hope you said yes, and I hope you're going to pay attention because we're going to show you how right now. Let's say we had a line that had a slope of -2 and included the point 4, 6. Could we figure out what the equation for that line was? Well, let's start with the basic slope-intercept form equation, y equals mx plus b. We know that m equals -2 in this case. So let's just replace m with -2, and now it reads y equals -2x plus b. Now we also know that the point 4, 6 satisfies this equation, y equals -2x plus b. It has to, because it's on the line. An x value of 4 and a y value of 6 will satisfy the equation y equals -2x plus b. So let's replace y with 6, and let's replace x with 4, and now the equation reads 6 equals -2 times 4 plus b. At this point, I hope you see that we could solve for b and know what the y-intercept for this line was. I'd just carry out the multiplication -2 times 4, and then I'd move that -8 to the left side of the equation and add it to the 6, and I'd have 14 equals b. Well, now I know b and I know m, so I can write the equation. Y equals -2x plus 14. Try this one. Hit your pause button, try the problem, and then hit your forward key to move on to my answer. Well, this time they've given us a point and the slope of the line and asked us to determine the equation. And we're going to use the y equals mx plus b generic form, and the first thing we want to do is replace that m with the slope that we're given, or 3. So we now know that y equals 3 times x plus b. We also know that the point 4, 5 satisfies this equation, so we're going to substitute 5 for y and 4 for x, and the equation reads 5 equals 3 times 4 plus b. Now we're going to solve for b. 5 equals 12 plus b. I subtract 12 from both sides of the equation, and I get -7 equals b. Now I know my slope, 3, and my y-intercept, -7. So I can write the equation. Y equals 3x minus 7. Try this one. Hit the pause button, try the problem, and then hit your forward key to move on to my answer. I hope you can see that this is a slope-intercept kind of a problem. Let's circle the numbers and underline the question and make sure that we understand why it's a slope-intercept problem. I'm going to circle $8 per month. $8 per month. That's the amount that my cost of membership goes up as the number of months increases. I'm also going to circle 6 months and $73. That's the number of months in this particular problem that have gone by, and 73 is the amount of money we've spent after 6 months. And then I'm going to underline how much was the initial membership fee. And I'm going to give it a variable name. I'll call it B. Well, now let's look at the slope-intercept form and make sure that we understand what this is all about. There's two variables in the slope-intercept form, x and y. X is the input value. Y is the output value. X is the number that we put in that can vary with each particular situation, and y is the resulting answer, or total. There's two constant values, m and b. M is the rate of change. It's the amount that y increases or decreases as x increases or decreases. And b is where we start. B is the number that we start with when x is 0. Y equals b when x is 0. So, in this particular problem, it should be apparent to you that y is the total cost of membership, that x is the amount of time that's gone by, that m is the cost for that time, and that b is the initial fee. So let's substitute the particulars from the problem into the y equals mx plus b form. And we've got $73, the amount that we've spent after 6 months, equals $8, the amount we're charged for any particular month, times x, the number of months, plus b, the initial membership fee. Well, we know what x is. X is 6 months. So we'll change this again to 73 equals 8 times 6 plus b. Now, I can simplify that 8 times 6 and rewrite the equation 73 equals 48 plus b. And then I can solve for b by subtracting 48 from both sides of the equation. And I get b equals 25. That's $25. And that is the initial membership fee. Well, that's a little bit more on slope-intercept form, and I hope you learned a little bit more. I hope you enjoyed yourself too. Now it's time to test your knowledge. Go to www.mastermath.info and download the worksheets and take the quizzes on more on slope and intercept form. I hope you had a good time. I hope you come back again soon. See ya.